Section 4D, Air Force Total Force, 4.10, One Team. The Air Force Total Force is one team, the U.S. Air Force. It is comprised of military and civilian members, including contractors, serving within three components: the Regular Air Force, Air Force Reserve, and Air National Guard. Each component brings unique talents and capabilities that must be integrated to perform the Air Force mission. Elevated requirements and the demands of recurring deployments of the Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve over the past few decades have transformed a traditionally strategic reserve force into a force that provides operational capability, strategic depth, and surge capacity. Air power cannot be applied efficiently and effectively without the contributions of each component working together. Regular Air Force, Reserve, and Guard Airmen have deployed and fought as one team for decades and are nearly indistinguishable on the battlefield. Additionally, civilian airmen work side by side daily with their military counterparts and are critical to mission success. Civilian employees provide invaluable experience, continuity, and leadership in all mission sets, and contribute a viewpoint that expands the Air Force perspective and enhances our capability to solve problems, adapt to new challenges, and achieve mission success. Leveraging the strength of the total force maximizes the use and synergy of agile airmen and resources. Organizations designed under total force integration share equipment, facilities, and resources to carry out a common mission. Under a classic association, the regular component is the host unit, retaining weapon system responsibility, while sharing the mission with the reserve or guard tenant unit. Under an active association, the reserve or guard unit is host, with the regular component tenant. Integrating with the regular component in this way yields numerous synergistic benefits to the Air Force's strength, including an improved ability to respond with surge capacity at a moment's notice. 4.11, Air Reserve Component. The Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve form a significant part of our aerospace capability as the Air Reserve Component. Forces are drawn from the Air Reserve Component when circumstances require the regular Air Force to rapidly expand. Air Reserve components are staffed and trained to meet the same training standards and readiness levels as regular Air Force component forces and are supplied with the same equipment on an equal priority. The regular Air Force can only withdraw, divert, or reassign equipment for other commitments with the Secretary of Defense's written approval. To ensure responsiveness and combat readiness, Air Reserve components are continuously evaluated and modernized. Air Reserve component units are sometimes separated to take advantage of state or regional demographics and are not centralized at major, multi-squadron bases, as is the case with regular Air Force resources. This exception is beneficial because it implements a strong relationship with the civilian community and builds public support for the Air Force as a whole. Command of non-mobilized Air Force Reserve units is exercised through the Commander, Air Force Reserve Command, who, in turn, is responsible to the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. Command of non-mobilized Air Force Reserve individual mobilization augmentees is exercised concurrently through Air Force Reserve Command and the unit of attachment. Whenever the U.S. President authorizes mobilization, the Secretary of Defense delegates authority to the services. In that case, the Air Force would be authorized to call Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve forces to regular Air Force status. When activated, operational command of Air Reserve components transfers to the gaining commander, who is also responsible for establishing training resources for all assigned or attached Air Reserve components. Note: the 7 reserve components of the U.S. Armed Forces are Army National Guard, Army Reserve, Navy Reserve, Marine Corps Reserve, Air National Guard, Air Force Reserve, and Coast Guard Reserve. Air National Guard. The National Guard Bureau is a joint activity of the Department of Defense, located in the Pentagon. As one of the reserve components of the U.S. Armed Forces, the Air National Guard is often called upon to augment the regular Air Force components in the performance of their missions. The Air National Guard has more than 105,000 officers and enlisted members who serve in 90 flying units and 579 mission support units. The primary sources of full-time support for Air National Guard units are the dual-status military technicians. These personnel perform day-to-day organization, administration, recruitment, instruction, training, and maintenance support for the unit. By law, dual-status military technicians are civil service employees of the federal government who must be military members of the unit that employs them. Technicians train with the unit and are mobilized with the unit when federalized. Dual federal and state mission. The Air National Guard's dual federal and state mission, a provision of the U.S. Constitution, results in each Guardsman holding membership in the National Guard of his or her state and in the U.S. National Guard. The Air National Guard's federal mission is to maintain well-trained, well-equipped units available for prompt mobilization during war and provide assistance during national emergencies, such as natural disasters or civil disturbances. During peacetime, the combat-ready units and support units are assigned to most major commands to carry out missions compatible with training, mobilization readiness, humanitarian, and contingency operations. When Air National Guard units are not mobilized or under federal control, command jurisdiction for these units is vested in the governor of the state, commonwealth, or possession. As the governor of the District of Columbia, the U.S. President has command jurisdiction over Air National Guard units. The U.S. President delegates this authority to the Secretary of the Army as governor of the District of Columbia. Each of the 54 National Guard organizations is supervised by the Adjutant General of the state or territory. Under state law, the Air National Guard provides protection of life and property and preserves peace, order, and public safety. These missions are accomplished through emergency relief support during natural disasters, search and rescue operations, support to civil defense authorities, maintenance of vital public services, and counter-drug operations. For more information on the Air National Guard, go to https://goang.com/ Air Force Reserve. The Chief of Air Force Reserve, Headquarters Air Force, Pentagon, serves as the principal advisor on reserve matters to the Secretary of the Air Force and Chief of Staff of the Air Force. The Chief of Air Force Reserve is also dual-hatted as the Commander of Air Force Reserve Command. The Air Force Reserve consists of officers, enlisted, and civil servants who are tasked, by law, to fill the needs of the U.S. Armed Forces whenever more units and people are required than are available within the regular Air Force. More than 860,000 people make up the ready, standby, and retired reserve. This includes nearly 70,000 selected reservists who are ready now for participating in every job specialty and on the front lines of daily military operations around the globe. The Air Force Reserve is a combat-ready force stationed at over 60 locations throughout the United States and serving globally for every combatant command in air, space, and cyberspace. Today and in recent years, reservists have supported every Air Force Corps function and every combatant commander around the world. Air Force reservists safeguard nuclear weapons and guide global positioning satellites. Reservists fly remotely piloted aircraft in combat half a world away, track hurricanes out at sea, and bring medical supplies and food into disaster areas to save lives. Spanning 6.5 decades, with the last 2 decades of continuous combat, the Air Force Reserve has fulfilled the legacy of early air pioneers and exceeded the potential seen by the visionaries who created it. For more information on the Air Force Reserve, go to https://afreserve.com/. 4.12 Civil Air Patrol, United States Air Force Auxiliary. The Civil Air Patrol, CAP, is a congressionally chartered, nonprofit corporation for the public good that may be utilized as a civilian volunteer auxiliary of the Air Force. The Secretary of the Air Force can employ the services of CAP in lieu of, or to supplement, Air Force resources to fulfill the non-combat programs and missions of the Air Force. As a total force partner, when approved and assigned by the Air Force, CAP conducts missions as Airman of the U.S. Air Force Auxiliary, aligned under Air Combat Command for fiscal and operational oversight and utilization. CAP has over 55,000 senior member and cadet volunteers, maintains a fleet of over 500 aircraft and over 900 vehicles, maintains multiple nationwide communications capabilities, and maintains a state-of-the-art cell phone forensics cell. 3 primary programs managed by CAP involve emergency services and civil support, aerospace education, and cadet programs. The emergency services and civil support programs maintain the ability to meet Air Force requirements to assist federal, state, local, and non-governmental organizations during routine and emergency situations in support of Homeland Security operations, consequence management, and search and rescue. Aerospace education provides materials for both senior and cadet members, as well as the general public. The cadet program is designed to motivate American youth to become responsible citizens through aviation-centered activities. CAP is organized into 8 geographic regions led by regional commanders and 52 state-level wings, to include the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. Approximately 1,500 total individual units comprise the lower-level echelons within the state-level wings. Note, the 4 civilian auxiliaries of the U.S. Armed Forces are Civil Air Patrol, Coast Guard Auxiliary, Merchant Marine, and Military Auxiliary Radio System. 4.13 Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. The Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, AFJ-ROTC, mission is to develop citizens of character dedicated to serving the nation and community. The AFJ-ROTC program is a Title X United States Code, Armed Forces, mandated citizenship training program open to 9th to 12th grade students that provides leadership training and an aerospace science program for high school students to explore the historic and scientific aspects of aerospace technology, and teaches self-reliance, self-discipline, and other characteristics found in good leaders. These objectives are achieved through classroom education and instruction in air and space fundamentals and hands-on learning opportunities in a number of fun and challenging extracurricular activities. Secondary school students who enroll in the AFJ-ROTC program are offered a wide variety of curricular and extracurricular activities. The AFJ-ROTC staff includes 31 headquarters personnel and more than 1,900 retired Air Force officer and enlisted military instructors. There are 870 AFJ-ROTC units with nearly 120,000 cadets in high schools across the United States and selected Department of Defense dependent schools in Europe and the Pacific, as well as public schools in Puerto Rico and Guam. The program is not a recruiting tool for the military services, as students who participate in AFJ-ROTC do not incur any obligation to the Air Force.